Okay, here we go. Another video. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy Sunday. Uh, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot I wanted to cover in the last little bit, but things keep getting kind of chaotic, to be expected. But a lot of this is just kind of dealing with the energy that we have to deal with, and then finding a way to move forward. So trying to do that, trying to regroup. Got my colors on, more color than last couple of videos, plus bright new vest, proudly. Uh, and I'm settling into a new house. I just went through a move. Move's stressful, but in a new house, still getting settled in, but make it work. And so what I want to talk about today is kind of maybe a potential, my proposal for what we do with the Yellow Vest movement in the United States, what we do to really launch things. We need a launch point, and it's really hard to get traction. Given the dynamics of what we face in the United States, it's different than other nations. Polarity, division, those things. It's a lot to deal with. They've got us in this binary state that shouldn't really exist. So we got to figure out how to deal with it. We're different than the French. We're different than the UK. We're different than Canada. We're different than the other 70 or so nations that are launching their own Yellow Vest movements. But we do all have the same intent, the same goal, and we all need to figure it out on our own how to do this. So let's do it, and here's my proposal. We take the Yellow Vest movement in the United States in, for now, a more singular direction. We take it strictly to protest, rally outside, show unity of we the people outside of every media outlet that is in each of our local districts. We can do this easy, simple. Can do it on weekends. Media outlets are open on weekends. We start creating a weekend after weekend show of force, boots on the ground, Yellow Vests united, outside of media outlets, specifically the corporate media outlets. 90% of all media outlets are owned by the corporations. The same 6 corporations we're fighting. We make sure we're hitting those corporate outlets, but they're in every one of our towns. Every single little town. My little town of Hilo, Hawaii, has a corporate media outlet that just this weekend I bought my Sunday paper. Sure enough, there's a little thing about the Yellow Vest movement in France, the Gilets jaunes, by the Associated Press. And of course, it's a hit piece saying how they're a right-wing extremist group and they're rioting and burning and busting things down just because they don't like Macron now, is their byline. And of course they're saying that firefighters had to save a woman and her child from fires set by this violent Yellow Vest movement. That's just a right-wing extremist group. And that's not what's going on at all. We all know it. And that's part of what we're up against. So let's take it to them. The media is our common enemy. For the French, for the UK, for all of our nations. The media is our common unity, and it is where we can be unified, find unity among any partisan group right now. Nobody trusts the media. And we can draw a real clear example and parallels, especially through the Yellow Vest movement, on how the media misrepresents everything that we the people are trying to do that's important. So I see that as a unifying factor, something that we can all get behind. Like I said, our politics here in the United States are so confusing and so divided, and we need to be a post-partisan, non-partisan movement, people's movement, not get drawn up into that partisan game that they are spending so much energy trying to reinforce right now. We unify against what basically is the major obstacle to any efforts that we have in trying to move forward, which is the media. They are, we've got the old guard structure that we're trying to fight against, the elite structure, and their basic first line of defense, major line of defense, is the media. They can prevent most anything that we do or misrepresent it if we do make headway. So we just take it to them. That's the front line. Just the media. Forget about the government, because we don't have a government. We have a rigged system government that's in front of the curtain, and we have the shadow government that really runs things behind there. So we take it to their front line of defense, or their easiest target right now, front line of defense, which is the media. They have like 18% approval rating. Nobody trusts them, but they don't have an alternative. We can show clear alternative. We can show clear bias. We can show clear everything if we take it to the front doorsteps. This front line of the old guard. We don't make it about anything else here in the United States for right now. Phase one, it's hard for us to get our acts together in a weekly fashion, but let's think about phase one is just targeting the media. They are our enemy. They are the enemy of the people. That's not a right-wing thing to say. They've been doing that. They manipulated the 2016 elections in the primary phase of the elections, completely biased. 200 and something media moguls had a private dinner with Hillary Clinton to organize their strategy before the primary elections were launched. She had collusion with that many, hundreds of media personalities in preparation to launch her campaign. And today we're hearing about Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson might be too friendly with Donald Trump. Okay, Hillary Clinton had 240 or whatever it was, 234, I forget the number right now. I'll get better at having my resources ready. But hundreds of people at a private dinner getting ready for her election and coordinating the election strategy. And countless number of just unethical instances between the media and Clinton, exposed in her emails that were not hacked. They were they were leaked by an insider. So we saw how that whole system worked. She's in collusion with the media. They do her bidding. She's one of many representatives of the deep state, and we're fighting the deep state. So what stands in between us and making a difference there? So it's the media. That's their front line. That's the old guard front line, and that's what we got to take out first and foremost. So we've been working on mandates and resolutions and stuff of how to overhaul, reset our government, the whole system. That's what we need to do. But we need to bust through that front line of the media. So I'm saying my proposal is we really do the Yellow Vest movement, boots on the ground, make it happen as fast as possible, hit the media as our real just primary target completely now. We can get a lot of people behind that, and we can force them to cover us. If we force them to cover us, especially if we're saying, don't just cover us, cover what's going on in France, cover what's going on in the UK, cover the worldwide Yellow Vest movement. It's not just about us. It's about this overall rebellion against the system. And we don't stop until they cover the rebellion against the system of which they are a part. If they won't do it, then we have to escalate. Not in tactics. We are a nonviolent movement. We need to stay nonviolent. That has to be our mandate. Absolutely. There will be infiltrators, agent provocateurs. That will happen. We have to make sure we're clear and that we are nonviolent, and we don't need to be violent. All we need to do is point out truths, very simple truths, like how the First Amendment is bent on a daily basis by the media, and it is broken in many fashions. So that is all the media. They are in many ways more powerful than our actual body politic. If the media comes down on anyone in the political body with their weight, it's almost impossible for that politician to survive. We've seen that time and time again. It doesn't matter what's legit or what's manufactured. If they take it and run with it, they can just about bring anyone down. Trump has been attacked, and we'll see how all that plays out. The fact that nothing is stuck and nothing is broken anything, I think, is a testament to, if they could have brought him down by now, they would have. But at the same time, they can undermine him every day, which they do. So if he's legit and wants to fix things, then he's got a daily struggle, and think we don't need the Yellow Vest movement here. That's ridiculous. We can help we can help actually like face-to-face combat the media in a very simple way. 1 or 2 days a weekend, showing up on their doorsteps with the yellow vest on, say, why aren't you covering the yellow vest movement? Why are you lying about the yellow vest movement? And then expand upon that by saying, why aren't you covering this too? Why did you lie about this too? Why are you trying to control the narrative in a way that serves your own purposes? Why do you listen to the CIA when they're not doing well in representing the interests of our national foreign policy? Why, we've got a million questions for the media. They've blown it. They've completely blown it. And they're still too influential. So that's my proposal. We take that like as our front line. We take that as we can all get behind it. We can get everyone behind that ultimately, like left, right, independent, any reasonable voices understand that the media is not helping. They are hurting. Their interest is far more in division than solution. So I think this is doable. I think we can do this in the United States. I think it's absolutely necessary. It's going to be necessary to do at some point, if not now. I don't know what will spark it. A lot of us are waiting for, say, declassification of FISA warrant documents, all these other revelations that we've been waiting for, while at the same time we've got a laundry list of crimes that have occurred that we know. We're only getting reinforced what we already know. And we know that the media has blown the coverage of the whole thing and lied about it. And they have an agenda, and their agenda aligns very much with the people we're fighting. So we got to stop waiting. There's a big reason. Overall, I'm just pretty much convinced we are the plan. Like Q, Trump, and everything before that has always made it clear that kind of the media is the enemy of the people right now. It happened back in the Bernie days. It happened, to the left. It happened shortly after in the Dakota Access Pipeline. It's happened like everywhere you see real people's movements, whether they be right or wrong, but if they challenge the system, they get blacked out and or misrepresented in the media. Time and time again. And then you see something else comparatively, like, say, a small grassroots movement that unfortunately originated here in Hawaii, the Women's March movement that launched, generated spontaneously, organically, through social media by some woman in Hawaii that wanted the Women's March thing to happen. Because of Trump, basically, and and the media got behind it. It got promoted like crazy. They don't call it promoting because they're not officially taking money, but it serves their agenda. So you get a Women's March thing, like, oh yeah, we can turn this against Trump. They promote the heck out of it through like, oh, this organic movement is calling for a rally in DC, and anywhere they can rally to stand up against Trump in this Women's March movement, and they exploded it. It got to be one of the biggest movements. That's promotion. That's media promotion of a cause that serves their agenda. They've ignored any real cause, like say the march in Philly in 2016, July 25th, 2016, against the corruption and rigging of the election against Bernie Sanders by Hillary Clinton, which to me, back then, that was like, okay, here we go. Like, we've got them red-handed. They manipulated an election. Election is supposed to be the backbone of democracy. If you don't have free and clear elections, you don't have democracy. It's exposed. Here we go. Everyone will rally, and we'll make a point at least, and hopefully get some change. No, because they blacked out the whole movement. They blacked out everything about it. They spun it another way. They blacked out the walkout of the delegates in the convention. The media controls the narrative. They will. There's a lot of us that are awake, but they will keep us fighting with the people that aren't awake. So we have to take down the media before really anything changes. So we can do that. It's right there. We just got to start showing up on weekends. And then we do what we do. We start getting a few people out and making videos of that, live streaming it, promote that on social media, organize around that, make sure that our independent news sources and community promote what we're doing. They're dying for, and I've talked to a lot of actual good media people here in the United States and had them follow me, have them follow what we're doing. They are behind this, but they actually have ethics to where they can't promote it. And I've been told that directly. We can't promote what you're doing. That would be unethical as journalists. Beautiful. Those are the people that we want. But so then we got to give them a story. They're dying for the story to happen. The story doesn't happen until we show up and make the story happen. We manifest it. And this is the perfect circumstance to make the story about us saying the media is unjust, representing an unjust system, and allow for an independent, now very networked in and followed independent media to start covering that story and start revealing the truths that are behind that in a way that is in people's faces with bright yellow vests, where weekends they might see them like on the streets in front of media outlets, their standard media outlets. See people, rallying against, protesting against those sources with the easy symbol, the yellow vest. So I think that, it's a proposal, and my ideas are my own. I'm not representing anyone else, but this to me just seems like a strategic winner, to where we can bring people together to just, we're not against the government at this point. That's more complicated. We just need to start with the first layer of this whole mess, which is the media. We can do that here. We can ask them to start covering what's going on in France like they would anywhere else. Compare France to Libya, or Venezuela, or whatever. Why won't they cover this the same way that they do that? Why is it so different? Why are they calling right-wing extremists when they're not right-wing extremists? Why are they doing all these things that fit an overall pattern? But we can see it most clearly, and call it out, and ask them to please cover the LOS movement in France fairly. Interview the protesters. They're not doing that. All they do is show the violent footage and then say it's all against Macron or a gas tax and it's right wing. No, that's not it at all. Why aren't they covering the deaths that have been caused to the protesters because of the tactics of the police? The loss of eyes, limbs, all those things. Our media needs to be covering that. If they're not covering that, they're not fair. What's going on in France is heavier, at least in the actual demonstration and everything, heavier than what's going on in Venezuela. But they're not covering it, so nobody knows. Why aren't they covering it? So we can start demanding that. I can go to my Hawaii Tribune Herald, and I will. I'm going to try to get people next weekend. Let's really start doing this, like now. Weekends, go show up at your local, propaganda outlet, media outlet, MSM outlet. Show up and say, cover this, cover us, cover that this is a worldwide happening. Do it, or I'll have 10 more people here next weekend. And we do that, and then we let people know we're doing that. We show the independent media we're doing that. We let them cover our story. We let independent journalists that can have more of an opinion start writing about more of our side of it, whatever we can, and we keep it all structured independently. There's a lot of people are saying the Yellow Vest movement is a leaderless movement, and in a way that's true, but actually probably more than ever right now, it needs to be a movement filled with leaders. We all got to be leaders at this point. We got to be compartmentalized. We got to be working independently. We got to organize locally. And a lot of that has to do with because of how the media controls things, including social media. All those things, they are working overtime to prevent us from unifying and organizing, and want us completely divided into this insane binary that does not exist. We're way more complicated than that. We're way more unified. We have way more in common than they want us to know. So I think that's it. I'm at 30 minutes now. I think I wanted to do it shorter, but yeah, a lot to deal with. But please, please contact me if you want to talk more about how we really pull this off. Let's really start manifesting this. Let's make this our goal. We can do this. This is very doable. It's well within our rights. It's necessary. We have them dead to rights in that they are not doing the right thing. They are not representing truth. They are not independent. They are biased. They don't have our interests. They shouldn't have any interest in mind other than just, this is the truth, this is what we know, this is what we don't know. Stick to that. That's news. Anything else is propaganda. So that's my proposal. Let's take the Yellow Vest movement here in the United States 100% just against the media. We can progress it after that. Start going after the banks. That's their other pillar of power. Their control of the money, their control of the media, and a force to prevent us from making changes. That's it. So that's my proposal. I really hope we can get this together soon, because it's right there. It's tangible. I can see it. We just got to manifest it. We just got to unify. So maybe this is what we can unify around is media. Take them on head on. We can use social media. We can use all of the structure that we built to directly undermine them, and they can't stop us once we get going like that. Especially if we work independently, the more they fight us, the faster we can grow. But we do have to start, really showing up and doing this. So hopefully this resonates with some of you, and I'll try to do more videos, shorter duration, more direct, but just trying to figure out how to do all this stuff and get out what I think is important, and figure out the strategies that'll work for organizing and being effective. So we need to do this. We need to figure it out, and any help is appreciated. I love you guys. Much aloha. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and I'll talk to you next time.